Let's talk about the parable of the lost sheep. Who is the shepherd? Who are the lost sheep? What does the shepherd have to do to save the sheep? Before we get into the parable, let's talk about the sheep. Sheep are oftentimes considered dumb, although they are not really dumb creatures. The problem is that they are helpless and don't have much common sense. Sheep are helpless because they can't do anything to defend themselves. If a wolf comes to attack the sheep, what can they do? They don't have claws, they don't have sharp teeth, they can't run faster than the wolf. They are helpless. They must depend on an outside source to defend them. Have you ever seen a flock of sheep? Maybe you saw them on the side of a road while you were driving. Were they by themselves? Probably not. Who was with them? In most cases, when you see a large flock of sheep, you always see a shepherd and a sheepdog close by. The shepherd and the dog guide and protect the sheep. Without guidance and protection, the sheep would wander off, would get lost, and be unable to defend themselves from predators. In the first couple verses of Luke 15, the scribes and Pharisees started complaining because Jesus was talking and eating with publicans and sinners. But then Jesus answers them with one of his most famous parables. Let's read Luke 15, 4-7 together. What man of you, having 100 sheep, if he lose one of them, doth not leave the 99 in the wilderness, and go after that which is lost, until he find it? And when he hath found it, he layeth it on his shoulders, rejoicing. And when he cometh home, he calleth together all his friends and neighbors, saying, Rejoice with me, for I have found my sheep which was lost. I say unto you that likewise there shall be joy in heaven over one sinner that repenteth, more than over 99 just persons which need no repentance. So firstly, who is the shepherd? In John 10:11, Jesus says, I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd giveth his life for the sheep. And then in Mark 7:24, Jesus says that he is sent to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So Christ is the shepherd. Who are the lost sheep? Or who is the lost sheep? 1 Peter 2:25 says, For ye were as sheep going astray. Who is the lost sheep? All those who have gone astray. Is that talking about you and I? Isaiah 53:6 says, All we like sheep have gone astray. We have turned everyone to his own way, and the Lord hath laid on him the iniquity of us all. You and I, and all those who have strayed from Christ, are the lost sheep. Now thirdly, what did the shepherd do to save the lost sheep? We read in the parable that he left the 99 and went after that which was lost, until he found it. Christ left all of heaven to seek and save us. You and I are the ones who are lost. The book Christ's Object Lesson says, no sooner does the sheep go astray than the shepherd is filled with grief and anxiety. He counts and recounts the flock. When he is sure that one sheep is lost, he slumbers not. He leaves the 99 with the fold and goes in search of the straying sheep. The darker and the more tempestuous the night, and the more perilous the way, the greater is the shepherd's anxiety and the more earnest his search. He makes every effort to find that one lost sheep. The third and fourth verse of the song, There Were 99, says some beautiful words. It says, But none of the ransom ever knew how deep were the waters crossed, nor how dark was the night which the Lord passed through, ere he found his sheep that was lost. Out in the desert he heard its cry, sick and helpless and ready to die. Lord, whence are those blood drops? All the way that mark out the mountain's track, they were shed for one who has gone astray, ere the shepherd could bring him back. Lord, whence are thy hands so rent and torn? They are pierced tonight with many a thorn. They are pierced tonight with many a thorn. But at last, with relief, the shepherd hears the faint cry of his sheep in the distance. Following the sound, he climbs to the steepest height. He goes to the very edge of the precipice at the risk of his own life. Thus he searches, while the cry grows fainter and fainter and tells him that his sheep is ready to die. At last his effort is rewarded. The lost is found. What does the shepherd do when he finds the lost sheep? He doesn't punish, reprimand, or beat the lost sheep. When God saves me and you, He doesn't want to punish us for getting lost. He doesn't even make us walk home to the fold. What did Christ do when He found us? Luke 15:5 says, "And when He hath found it, He layeth it on His shoulders rejoicing." What does it mean that the shepherd laid the sheep on His shoulders? What do you have to do to put something on your shoulders? You have to pick it up. Christ picked us up from our misery and from our sin. He lifted us and He put us on His shoulders. Christ went after us when we were lost. And when He found us, He picked us up, put us on His shoulders where we would be close to Him, protected and safe from danger. Christ did this rejoicing, and then He carried us home. The fourth question is, what happens when the lost sheep is brought back to the fold? What happened when we are brought home? When the straying sheep is at last brought home, the shepherd's gratitude finds expression in melodious songs and rejoicing. He calls upon his friends and neighbors, saying unto them, "Rejoice with me, for I have found my sheep which was lost." So when a wanderer is found by the great shepherd of the sheep, heaven and earth unite in thanksgiving and rejoicing. In the parable, the shepherd goes out to search for one sheep, the very least that can be numbered. So even if only one person was lost, one soul, Christ would have died for that one. In the parable of the lost sheep, the shepherd must search for the lost sheep because it cannot find its way back. And guess what? It's the same with us. When we get lost, we cannot find our way back. But the problem is that we think we can. We think we can do it. If I just try a little harder, I can do it. But it's impossible. I tell you from personal experience. Others can tell you. Bible stories can confirm it. We need the divine love of God to save us. Thank God He has presented to our imagination no picture of a sorrowful shepherd returning without the sheep. The parable does not speak of failure, but of success and joy in the recovery. Here's the divine guarantee that everyone who will submit to be ransomed, Christ will rescue from the pit of corruption and from the briars of sin. Not only does the lost sheep represent sinners who have gone astray, but it also represents our world. Jesus left all of heaven and everything over which He rules to come to this little fallen world. We're the one lost sheep. Christ, the loved commander in the heavenly courts, stooped from His high estate, laid aside the glory that He had with the Father in order to save the one lost world. Seeing that Christ left all to save us, will you leave all to follow Him? Will you allow Him to find you wherever you are, pick you up, and put you on His shoulders? Jesus wants to bring you home. Will you let Him? If you do, Luke 15:7 says, "There is joy in heaven over one sinner